there's a kind of social awareness that one can take on if one studies both something that is increasing in exposure and popularity within society, but also that it's something that one really believes in as a rightly progressive aspect. So, for example, for me, real mental health awareness and awareness of the fracturing of the mind that happens in development to all people, not just people who are autistic or personality disordered or particularly traumatic in or have a particular amount of trauma that is like higher than average. I'm not even just talking about those. Those will be extreme cases, and also trauma in childhood is not very highly understood by individuals. What I'm talking about is like it can obviously be seen just with rudimentary study that psychology and development of human beings is not understood or even taken into account very much. We're still dealing with prescriptions, religious prescriptions of behavior, or societal prescriptions of behavior, and even like new prescriptions of societal behavior, such as social distancing and stuff like that. There is ideal content, um, ideal conduct that can be noted if one can see all the things that you shouldn't do in interaction with others in order, like concerning their personal development from whatever age, um, taking into account all the things you shouldn't do that may or may not be lined up with um, religious understandings or cultural understandings. Many of them are not. Many of them are um, just have very little to do with teachings that have been passed down. Teachings that have been passed down are found to be in certain areas lacking or downright stupid. Um, One can build up per system one idealized kind of character. So for mental health and even dealing with specific personality disorders, borderline narcissism or schizoid personalities, whatever, I think there's like a therapeutic um, social understanding that one can gain studying this, where it's like, okay, everyone should be, if we're actually serious about making the world a better place, everyone should be integrating this a little bit. Um, but simply coming out and saying that is going to be met with a lot of resistance, because that in itself is not a proper character for popularizing this sort of information or even becoming this sort of a person. Um, but I think things can get very complex when, alongside of these new understandings, there's also old understandings. Sort like if you're looking for the essence of certain religious traditions like Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, there are ideal characters that would be like, it's like the point of the teaching, and not just the religion, but fundamental essence of the founder of the religion. So, like to the extent that all religions come from individuals, like there is no Christianity without Jesus. There is no Islam without Muhammad. There is no Buddhism without Siddhartha Gautama. There's no um, there's no Judaism without Abraham, without Moses. These kind of characters can be more and more well defined with study and with experience. That they rise up, it can rise up in a single individual, and they're very many times, a vast majority of the time, not understood by others. Um, and it's but I guess with this kind of study, if one is actually seeking not just curiosity from a secular perspective, but actually looking to participate in and actually learn from both the patriarchs and new studies that very much seem to be worthwhile and effective and logical, and they also work theoretically, or not just theoretically, they work experientially, certain kinds of behaviors, such as certain kinds of therapeutic behaviors. Um, Integrating a lot of these things is not going to seem in any way pro-social. In fact, it may seem antisocial on many fronts, and it's very frustrating to. And I'm not talking about fringe studies. I'm talking about gaining real competence in legitimate um, and growing social, like constructs of social behavior. And I don't mean social distancing. I don't mean things that are mandated by power. It's not about power. It's about real competent study that is deep, and you can challenge it, and you'll actually find real reasons and real layers and real experiences from many, and you can build a framework that is actually built upon. I'm not talking about. It's like I want to really make it a point that I'm not talking about anything that is mandated by world governments, because world governments as is also quite often cited by people who study narcissism and pathological types of thinking. Narcopaths are in control of the world, and if you are following novel kinds of mandates, it's narcopathy. It is like submitting to evil people who are not psychologically healthy. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what we have after that. What must counteract the consummately evil men and women who make these sorts of decisions, and our acquiescence to them must be done away with. There is, um, and also, it's possible that this can be done because pathological rulers will create bubbles that are fantastical and not real, and they don't actually connect to real life at all when it comes down to it. That is the great disadvantage of narcopathic rulers, is they don't really know what's going on. They only know how to increase their own bubble of lie. However it's done, through good feeling, or usually we can see it today. It's just money. Money will pay many men to shut up about anything, or and not just shut up. Um, it's not so much that people are paid to shut up; it's people are paid to do all sorts of myriad tasks in different kinds of marionetted dissemination that men are afraid to lose their resources, their well-being, because ultimately, um, money has a similar quality to the way it always did. Like when soldiers were paid salt, is there's some kind of warlord who has his own idea of what the truth is, or what kind of like vision he has for the world. Be this a more intuitive type of like priestly character, or a more sensory type of like a straight commander, or field general, and a Caesar. And one will go around and first of all secure resources, and especially addictive resources, not just food, um, but salt and other drugs, and in money, and so like salt was one of the first forms of money, and that if people are making money from things, it's pretty much the same as making salt from going along with some kind of narcopathic ruler going around implementing their own fantasy. Um, so people aren't paid to shut up. People are paid to do specific tasks. And an effective ruler knows how to disseminate these things. Um, who knows how to, like, if one wants to bake a cake, and doesn't want to know that there's a cake being baked until the cake is baked. There's like a surprise element that is good for warfare and operations in general, especially competitive operations. There's different ingredients in the cake. You have one person go get the eggs, and one person go get the flour, and one person go get the sugar, and one person go get the frosting, and then you bring all those things together. You pay those people to bring all those ingredients to you, and then you are effectively baking the cake yourself. You might even pay somebody else to bake it in a laboratory, um, so to speak. Um, and then, even if the cake is something that's totally disruptive, if it's like La Bamba Surprise in Diamonds Are Forever, where it's an explosive cake, it's a weapon, um, you can keep paying people, and people are already in a state of employment, and there are so many men and women that would just that they don't want to give that up because of not only what it provides in terms of resources, but in what it provides in terms of status, and there are many modes inside of narcopathic bubbles. There are like layers of it and layers of society where individuals just look at each other, and it's a good enough experience to like say like I'm getting paid, you're getting paid, we're both getting paid. There's maybe some competition internally, um, and there's like a pride factor of like nobody can tell you that you're doing bad if you have secured a place within a narcopath bubble and you're doing a specific job within it. Society loves many people like this, even if what this society is, what the leader ultimately is doing is very destructive to others, even people within the bubble or themselves. There's really um, I don't know. It seems that the vast majority of people and this does include myself, I'm not trying to leave myself out of this. It's like, as long as you're paid, you can and will be a part of executing plans of evil. And having a sort of pride that you're a good person and that you would never be a part of such thing is a distortion of what's really going on. And you can very, very easily be a part of such a thing. And it is very highly likely that you are.